Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Lisa Stroda, and this is the Holistic Life Coach Podcast. I enjoy bringing inspirational and mind-blowing interviews to you from movers, shakers, world changers, and unabashed dreamers. If you'd like to share your story, contact me through the show's website, theholisticlifecoachpodcast.com, and we'll see if you're a good fit. In this episode, I chat with life coach Kimberley Houghton. We discuss what put her on the road to become a coactive life coach, why she created her passion project, Wild Women Within Project, and how we can get our inner critic under control. Now, on to this week's episode. Today, I sit down with Kimberley Houghton, who is a coactive life coach, originally from the UK and now based in Cape Town, South Africa. She is the founder of the Wild Women Within Project. Hey, Kimberley, welcome to the pod.
Hi, Lisa. It's so wonderful to be here with you.
Tell us about the Wild Women Within Project. I'm really intrigued about the name.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So essentially, I run a free private women's group, about 200 women, all incredibly powerful, but at various stages of their life. And I also do one-on-one coaching, really around sort of women who play small and are kind of tired of doing that, and they want to create an impact, do more, be more, have more. It was really derived from my own personal journey, to be honest with you. So when I was sort of much younger, I felt incredibly lost in life. I, on some level, knew I was intelligent and I had these skills and I was articulate. Yet I kind of kept getting caught up in self-sabotaging loops or sort of behaviors which just didn't really serve me. And really to kind of lead the life that I'm now living, where I feel content and in alignment and in congruency, a lot of it was around starting to own my skills, my voice, things where what potentially I had judged myself as not acceptable, they turned out to be my gifts in life. And so really the Wild Woman Within is about empowering women to find their own unique beauty, and gifts and talents to be able to share with the world ultimately, because we need it. We all need it.
Yeah, that self-acceptance is so important. And it reminds me of that meme that I guess I've seen all over Facebook, where it's a picture of a little girl and it says, "Don't tell her that she's bossy. Tell her, that she's a leader." And so yeah, it's all in the way you look at it.
I love what you're saying, Lisa, actually, because it's quite interesting with like how we're designed as humans, right? If you look back, we used to belong to tribes. And so social acceptance was such a big thing. It was a survival thing, right? You needed to be accepted by your tribe to survive. And that's no longer necessary, but we still have that wiring in our brains to fit in and be acceptable. And actually, the cost of that is often so much more. We end up cutting off parts of ourselves that bring us the joy, that bring us the energy, that bring us our work in life. And yeah, so I'm a big advocate for that, and like really coming back to ourselves and what our desires and feelings and thoughts really are,
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the inner critic in all of us that we need? I know we have those saboteurs that creep up, and talk about that versus trusting yourself.
I love that. Thanks, Lisa. So, I know like yourself, we've both trained with Coactive, and, through that process, I became very aware of my own inner critic. And through coaching so many people, it made me very attuned to realizing we all have a little voice in our head that shows up and says, oh, you're not good enough. Don't do this. You're too old. You're too young. You don't have enough experience, whatever it is. And, what I find so interesting is this voice often is very much disguised in a safe or secure or our own voice in a way, yet really it holds us back from, like really being our full selves. And, to almost combat that, for me, it was really learning to trust myself again. And on that, we have all experienced challenges in life. We've all gone through stuff. We've all had difficulties. And often as a result of that, we lose trust in our ability to make decisions, and we start looking more outside of ourselves. And it's almost like reversing that process all over again, listening to our intuition or our feelings or our thoughts or our gut instinct or whatever. And when I started to do that, my life really started to transform immeasurably. More confidence, more money, more belief, more better relationships. So yeah, it's a process, and I think we kind of do it in a step-by-step way, but the more we see by doing that we get, the easier it is.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah. And sometimes those voices can be, generational, and just from, like you said, there's just all these different influences that coming in. And when you get to that point of trusting yourself, that's such a beautiful moment when when you feel safe to go with your intuition and, your own opinions and thoughts. And it opens up so much more, when, you.
No, I love what you're saying, and it's so interesting because, like, I could appreciate someone listening to this. It might sound contradictory because, particularly if we look back in the last year and all the circumstances and everything that's happened on a global level, on a personal level to lots of people, on an economic level, I think what that does is it creates a level of uncertainty. And so a lot of people as a result start searching for a place or a way to be secure. And again, that sort of steps outside of themselves in a job or a relationship or whatever it is. And it's it's not saying that those don't provide the security, but I think the security we seek is much more on that primal, deeper level. And when we start to give that to ourselves, then we start stepping out in a much bigger, bolder way and can make things more possible.
Can you talk about the Wild Women Within project, a passion project of yours, and what we learn about ourselves when we indulge in our passionate pursuits?
Yeah, I love that. And I think, so many women that I've worked with, we cut off our desires, our wants, our needs. Maybe we're so busy running households or doing jobs or both or whatever that looks like. And I see so many women just burn out and tired and feeling unseen and unheard and not understanding why, because they're putting so much energy out there. And for me, it's a reclamation of self. It's owning our own desires and feeling a sense of worthiness around being able to have that in our life. And not at the cost necessarily of other things, but it's almost like when we start to put ourselves first to some capacity of whatever capacity we are able, we actually have so much more to give, so much more energy, so much more resources, so much more, time and money and all of those kind of things. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I know maybe to listeners that might, like you said, might sound selfish when you say you need to put yourself first. But that's coming from a place of you not putting yourself first. And I had years ago, many years ago, a friend of mine, her sister was going through a divorce, and she said, "Oh, I have some advice for you girls," because we were maybe, I don't know, 20, you know. And she says, "I have some advice for you girls. When you get married, if you get married, don't lose your identity." And I didn't understand that at the time, but I had filed it back in my head. And then when I was married, I'm beginning to understand. And after going through my divorce, I definitely understood what she meant. Like you said, you get bogged down, and because as women, we're giving and giving and giving. I think that's just our nature of wanting to take care of others, and we have kids, and then we don't think of ourselves. And when I think it's almost like a wake up, like, oh wait, I can put myself first. And it's okay to put myself first. It's okay. And then in the analogy of being in the airplane and the masks dropping, when there's turbulence or something, and then you have to put your mask on first before you can help someone else. And that analogy always keeps me in that space. If I ever think I'm getting out of that space, I have to take care of myself so that I could take care of others. And that's how I've explained it to clients. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that so much, because I think what I find fascinating is there's an irony when we start to put ourselves first and respect ourselves. What happened? There's always a fear. Like, I see it in women, like, oh, but I'm going to be selfish, or people won't like me, or I won't be accepted, or whatever that is. And actually, what I consistently see is when we start to put ourselves first, people do respect and respond in a much more positive way. And I mean, just even to consolidate that, like for your listeners, just, think of 3 or 4 people that you respect, and you look up to, and you think, wow. And I'm sure like there will be the elements of people who are like confident, they know what they want. It doesn't mean you have to throw it down someone's neck, but they're someone, they have that respect within themselves.
Yeah. I like what you said there. You have that respect within yourselves. And I think you need to have that first before, like, people will respect you. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's people that that other people look up to and respect, but sometimes deep down you don't have that respect for yourself. But yeah, that and all that it comes with self-acceptance. You don't have time when someone treats you poorly, and that voice says, "Hey, I'm better than this." Because sometimes, if you don't hear that voice, yeah, you can just be like trampled over and disrespected, and in building up that self-confidence and that self-respect. And when that voice comes and says, "Hey, this isn't right. You shouldn't have to deal with this. This is wrong. This person is disrespecting you."
Absolutely. And I think, it loops back to that sort of self-sabotaging piece that I sort of spoke about. Because honestly, Lisa, I learned this the hard way just in my own personal journey. And I think I did not respect myself for whatever reason, why, I was doing the best that I could, but it led to really bad decision making, my relationships and my work, in financially speaking, and that's the core. It seeped into every area in my life. And I think that's why I'm so adamant about empowering women to make the shift often on the inside so that their external can also get better.
Yeah, I like what you said about it seeping into other aspects, because that's exactly what it does. It seeps in slowly, and you don't even know that it's there until you go
Yes.
back and do that work. Yeah.
And that's why I believe we need other women.
Mm-hmm.
We need other women around us to hold us accountable to our greatness, because often we can't see, our blind spots or things that are difficult. And, women have the opportunity and the capacity to be our greatest advocates for one another, to hold each other, to
Mm-hmm.
listen, to hold that space, to see, to feel, and reflect back, like the beauty in someone, or if we see that they're struggling, or,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's great about your group, and having like other women hold you, support you, have that hold that space for you, and not advocate.
Mm.
But I there's also let's talk about respect, a respectful way to show tough love too. Say, you know what? And I think that
Mm.
goes with accountability too. Like if you're holding somebody accountable and you get to know them, and you're like, wait a minute, you're feeding me a line here. No, no, no. And you're doing it in a way where you're holding space and they can open up to you, and maybe they're having a hard time with something that they're trying to do, and you're holding them accountable. That is why like women's groups, I think, are just so beautiful in that sense. And it
Mm.
also doesn't have to be like a Facebook group, just women getting together and just doing things, going
Mm.
out, gabbing. I used to golf with a group of women, and I'm not a very good golfer. And one of the gals says, well, you might want to hold the club a little bit this way. And she's, oh, but wait, but I'm not criticizing you. I don't want you to think I'm criticizing you. I'm just trying to give you some points, which, like you said, as women, we're afraid to speak up. And, that would be horrible if somebody thought I was criticizing them. And I said, no, it's okay. I need all the help I can get. And then one of the other ladies said, after I had, tried to sink that putt or whatever, I said, you know what, this is what's so great about golfing with other women. Men could not do what you just did. They would get all self-defensive.
Yeah.
And what do you mean? No, I'm doing it right. And we as women can just give each other advice and take it, and do what we want with it, and help each other out and support each other like that. It's such a special
And I'm sure
relationship amongst
you,
women.
yeah, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sure as a fellow coach, you'll identify with this. But as a coach, I feel like that's your job.
Mm-hmm.
But that gave me more permission to be me. So as a coach, if I see someone I'm working with and they're playing small, or they're doing something that doesn't serve them, it is my job to reflect back. And
Mm-hmm.
that person has the choice to make their decisions on what they want to do, or what. But if they're coming to me and saying, hey, I want something different, and I see them playing small or not, and it's a beautiful, safe space with compassion and love and gentleness to show someone their own brilliance of
Mm-hmm.
who they can be and what they can achieve, I believe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's such one a wonderful, satisfying feeling, I think, for the client, to know that I'm going to see my coach, and she's going to hold this space. It's okay. Whatever I say she's accepting And that in itself, that, that you could share anything you want with your coach. And the way we see it as coactive coaches is completely different than other, modalities and other schools of coaching out there. And, and one of the, of our pillars, let's say, of coactive coaching is the one that I fell in love with was people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And that just got me just in the heart, in the heartstrings, that we look at people from the very beginning like that. No one's broken, no one needs fixing, but we help them on that journey to discover what's holding them back and how to open up those doors and in that. So,
and I love that, and it's my favorite one as well. And what happens when we do that for ourselves? What happens when we hold ourselves naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, and know we're not broken or need to be better or fixed, or when we actually view ourselves through that lens, and that's where I feel such powerful change starts to occur.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about becoming aware of and following our intuition. How, I think intuition to me it's been that gut feeling and just that little voice. And I've known in my life that when I didn't follow it, that, I'm always going back, I should have listened to you. And I think it can be intuition or, that little voice. And I don't think it should be so easily dismissed. That it's not, when we talk about intuition and listening to it, it's not all woo-woo and, there's an actual, this is an actual thing. This is a concrete thing. This is our instincts. I think sometimes intuition, like I said, some people are like, oh, intuition, what do you mean? But when instinct, I think might be a little better word for some people to understand it. And when I listen to my instinct. Go ahead. Sorry.
To add on to that, Lisa, I think it's really interesting because I'm an advocate. I still am if you look at the prefrontal cortex, right, that is the part of our brain that is the decision-making part. And that has only been in development. That's the newest part of our brain, for example, right? So it's not to discount that. Like, I'm a big believer in planning and working it out and, putting it together. And does this make sense? And all of that. But I just believe intuition and our thinking, they can be used together very powerfully. And if we look at intuition and that more like body response that we have, that has been with us for so long and is very well developed. And so the more we start to listen to the body, we get into the body, we see how it's responding, what it wants, what it doesn't want. In my experience, when I do that, my decision-making process is cleaner and always comes out with a better response.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That what you said about intuition and it working together and paying attention to those bodily responses. I think sometimes, that happens and you're like, oh, I just don't feel good. I just don't have you might have this sense, but no, it's your intuition talking to you. So, yeah. So in the Wild Women Within Project, we can find support and advocating for each other. And I think if that is just a wonderful passion project that you started. That is just awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Right now we're in the portion of our podcast where I ask you 5 random questions. So are you up for it?
Ooh, exciting.
Okay. So
Yes, fire
yeah.
away.
All right. All right. So if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
So the first one that comes up for me, I think I would have loved to spend more time with my granddad. He led an incredible life and was an incredible man, and I remember him from my early childhood. And I'd love to know more of his stories and in the Navy and RAF and things like that. Um, I think Gandhi obviously like is a big one, right? But in essence, I believe like just coming from a place of love, and it's our being that dictates so much in life, not necessarily our doing. And I think we often place more emphasis on that. So I'd love to learn and speak to Gandhi. And maybe like a Shakespeare or something for some creativity, like, to understand a different world, a different time, and so much insight and intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that would be so interesting. That would be really interesting to have dinner with those guys all around. Yeah. What is your morning routine?
Love it. So, one of my sort of indicators in life of me living the kind of life that I live is I never have to set an alarm. So I wake up just whatever time my body wants to wake up, but it's generally pretty early anyway. And then sort of slowly enter into the day. I always do a cold shower, not the whole shower, but I believe in kind of having a cold shower. Then I do a little bit of breathing, a little bit of meditation, and I kind of write my to-do list for the day, what needs to be done, what I want to do. Yeah, and then I kind of get stepping into the day. I have a little puppy, so I'm very lucky that I get to spend lots of time in the mountain, which is 5 minutes away, walking him, and yeah, it keeps me outdoors and healthy.
Yeah, what a wonderful routine. What what is your favorite pump up song? Song that'll get you going or that you might put on. This morning I was in a Rhythm
I
Nation,
love that.
Janet Jackson mood.
Yeah, I love it. Sure, that's a hard one though, because music is a big thing in my life. I'm a big dancer. I love dancing. So I think a one would be like, maybe it's not the first one that comes to my head that I love. It's not like a pump up song, but it's The Son of a Preacher Man by Dusty Springfield. Is it Dusty Springfield? I love
great.
that song. It's one of my favorites.
Josh Stone does a wonderful rendition of that.
Oh, really? I'll check that out.
Yeah. What kind of dancing do you do? Like
Latin. So I do like kizomba and bachata and salsa and yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's great. And if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Wow, that's a big question. I would tell her, it sounds silly, but I think stop trying to impress everyone else. Stop trying to be part of the cool gang or do what you think is expected of you, and start believing in yourself and what you want. and go after it
Yeah.
ruthlessly.
Yeah. Yeah. That is great advice. You know, I wish I had that advice when I was 18. Yeah.
Me too. I learned that way too late.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? That's okay. That's all right. Right. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Yeah.
And yeah. So if heaven exists, if I can get that out, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You are always perfect. You have always been perfect. Because I spent so much of my life feeling like I wasn't good enough and I needed to change and I needed to be more. And, you know, even the mistakes that we make in life can bring us closer to who we need to be. And often we only realize that with hindsight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such, you know, when you get to that realization, you know, that I've always been perfect, or I've always had the ability within me to change my circumstances, is such a it's such an awakening, you know, and to know, you know, you've always been perfect. There's nothing that you need to change about you. And I like to talk about a person's perfect imperfections.
Yes, I love that too.
Yeah, those are a part of you, and they were meant to be there, and that's what makes you you, and makes you so. It makes you unique. There's no one else. There's no other Kimberley Houghton. There isn't another Lisa Strode, and there never will be. And we have our own gifts and talents to give this world, and there's no need to change them. Just go out there and share them. So, well, where can people find you if they want to know more about you?
Amazing. Yeah. So my website is www.wild-women, which is WOMEN, not in the plural.com. So wild-women.com, and my email's on there, which is wild@wild-women.com.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you, Kimberley, for joining me today, and with your wisdom and insight and opinions, and telling us all about your project, the Wild Women Within project, and all of Kimberley's information, contact information. The link to her group will be in the show notes. So thank you again.
Thank you, Lisa. It's been so wonderful sharing this space with you, and just such beautiful work you're doing. So thank you.
If you're hearing this message, you've listened to our new episode all the way through. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You can find Kimberley's contact information in the show notes at the holisticlifecoachpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with your friends, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. And subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. To catch the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at the Holistic Life Coach Podcast and at the Holistic Life Coach Podcast on Facebook. Thanks again. Until next time, beautiful souls.